Are you thinking about getting an environmental audit and wondering what happens if it finds a violation? Or are you trying to figure out whether telling the EPA about your mistake is going to help you or just make things worse? Well, in this video, we're going to cover the EPA's audit policy and their rules for self-reporting, and by the end, you'll know what it is, how it works, and when it's worth using. Hey there, I'm Tate Hunter from RMA, your environmental experts. We help facilities conduct audits and weigh their options with self-reporting under the EPA's audit policy all the time. And if you're on the fence about getting an audit done and you want to understand what you'd be signing up for, reach out to us and we would be happy to walk you through it. Let's get into it. The EPA's audit policy is basically a deal. So if you find your own violation and you tell the EPA about it before they find it on their own, you're in a much better position than if they'd caught you. Think of it like telling on yourself to get ahead of it. You're not necessarily avoiding the consequences entirely, but you're showing good faith, and the EPA generally rewards that with real leniency. In a lot of cases, that means a much smaller penalty than you would have faced otherwise. So here's how it actually works. You have to find the violation yourself, so this doesn't apply if the EPA is already looking into it. You report it in writing within 21 days of finding it through the EPA's online reporting system. You fix it, usually within 60 days, and you put something in place so that it does not happen again. It also cannot be something that you've done before. And there's an important ceiling here. If a situation is serious enough that it's actually harming people or actively putting them in real danger, well, this program is not really built to help with that. The audit policy exists for real violations that genuinely need correcting, not for the kind of situation that's already crossed into serious harm. Check all the boxes, and the EPA is usually far more lenient with you than they would have otherwise been. And even if you don't check every single one, you can still usually get a meaningful reduction, just maybe not quite as much. Now, that doesn't mean that every single thing that an audit turns up belongs in this process either. A lot of what an audit finds sits on the smaller end. Say your permit was written before you added a new piece of equipment, and technically that equipment isn't accounted for on that permit yet. That kind of thing usually just gets fixed directly, the same way that you'd handle a routine maintenance around the facility. The audit policy really sits in the middle of these two. It is for violations that are real and more serious than a simple paperwork discrepancy, but they're not so serious that they've turned into anything that you might consider an emergency. One thing that sometimes confuses people is who's actually doing the regulating. Even though this is called the EPA's audit policy, you may spend your entire career working mostly with your state environmental agency instead of the federal EPA. And that is because the EPA has delegated many federal environmental programs to the states, so your permits and your inspections and your day-to-day enforcement are often handled locally, while the EPA stays at the top, providing that oversight, and they still have the authority to step in if they feel like they need to. Now, that is also probably why you've never been inspected by the EPA directly. So when an audit finds a violation, the first question usually isn't whether or not to report it. The first question is usually whose rule was violated in the first place. Some environmental requirements come straight from the EPA, others are federal programs that your state administers on the EPA's behalf, and others are purely state requirements. And going one step further, some might be town or city ordinances or just local requirements. So depending on what the violation involves, the right answer might be to talk to the EPA or your state agency or someone else, or both, or a combination of three, or simply just correcting the issue without any formal self-disclosure. And that is one of the biggest reasons that facilities usually don't try to navigate the audit policy on their own. An experienced environmental consultant, like us here at RMA, can conduct your audit, identify which rules are actually involved, who they fall under, and help you determine the appropriate path forward. If you want to know what that costs, check out our environmental audit pricing calculator on our website. A few quick questions about your facility and operations, and you get a real number instantly, no email or contact info or salesperson, just an answer. And if you want to keep learning, our Learning Center has a ton of content on environmental audits and self-reporting. Articles, videos, tools, you name it, whatever question comes up next, there's a good chance we've already covered it. And if you're weighing an audit and want to understand what self-reporting might actually mean for your facility or what you might be getting yourself into, that is exactly what we're here for. Reach out and we would be happy to talk. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.